this an episode though?
Every time, every goddamn time.
This specifically though,
This specifically,
because it's its own thing.
it's his own thing.
It has its own style, its own numbering system, its own labeling. Now that we have like organizational,
That's right.
so it's annoying. So it's not an episode.
It is an episode.
We format it as an episode, but we do something
Yes.
that we don't do in any other episode. It's its own thing.
Remember how we used to record these? They were like outside the episodes, so it'd be like 33.1, 33.2, 33.3, 33.
We still do that.
No, but they weren't even labeled as episodes. It was just like it was wild.
Because we started that way, I'm trying to keep us in the matrix, but you're like, no, you take the blue pill. Like, you can't red pill anymore. It's like, you make sense.
Because we used to do the episodes, and then we do that as like an extra thing. Like, it wouldn't take place of the episodes; it would be added on. So we do the 2 recordings in a week. You remember that?
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was too much. That's why we stopped.
But we folded this all into like, hey, do you want to like do like 10 comics in one go?
I like it better. Honestly.
Nobody's arguing with that. It's just these aren't an episode. Like, I want to call it its own thing. We call it its own
we have
thing.
too many things. Too many things. This is why we did this. We have episodes and then the arc analysis, and that's it.
But we literally started HOX POX DOX off of this. This is called HOX POX DOX.
I know, but we had too many things. There was like first glance, and then bottle caps, and then episodes, and then so I was like, I want to simplify it. And just
we still have all of those. We just extend them, so it's like
correct.
a first glance episode.
Exactly.
Back at it again, like we never left. Coke and Dank, Dank and Coke. We are lethal weapons.
Hey, Dank.
Hey, Coke.
Wolverine opened a bakery. Yeah, he sells croissants.
You didn't earn that. You sold that.
I did.
That wasn't a funny joke. I look at the face. Croissants?
That's like a Conan O'Brien type.
No.
he opened a bakery, you know?
Give yourself a lot of credit.
He sells croissants.
Giving yourself a lot of credit to put yourself next to Conan O'Brien.
No, the style that I did it in. I was embodying him. All I had to do was do his dance.
That's your best joke, to say that you're on par with Coco.
Oh, see, now you're putting words in my mouth.
Well, that's the name of the game.
See, no.
That's what we do in HOX POX DOX, because these aren't really episodes.
Oh, God.
These are its own thing.
Just confuse everybody who's listening.
Thanks for still listening, guys. We're back to X-Men. We've taken a hiatus off maybe our favorite thing, one of our favorite things that we do. The amount of time and effort that we get to reading in like literally like 10 titles in an episode is super fun for us for obvious geeky reasons.
And these were actually, I remember when, like, the last time we did this, it felt like more of, I'm gonna say chore, but it felt like more of a chore. These ones just like flew by. I read like most of them all in one day.
I don't know if that's good or bad though.
Well, I didn't enjoy all of them.
Yeah, see? So it's not a chore, but you could breeze through it. I'm very happy to be back in this world, but a lot of things don't make sense to me. My question to you is, how many titles did you have to go back and read the previous issue before the ones that were assigned?
Oh, so I didn't read any of the previous ones, but I went back and skimmed them.
Sure.
Like, if I was like, man, it's been a long time. Like, these are written in 2021. Like,
yeah, we're late to the party.
Well, we were on time, and then what was it, X of Swords or Ten of Swords? Like, burnt us. And we're like, fuck this. And so we took like 2 years off, and then they just kept going. We're talking about the
Krakoa series. Yeah,
Dawn of X to Reign of X to Trials of X to Destiny of X to Fall of X. So all that.
And we missed so much stuff that we started covering individual X-Men titles after the fact.
Yeah.
Like, you started reading
Psylocke.
I started reading Storm. Mystique burnt me, and I was like, okay, like it's been too
So
long.
that's
We
you
have to
said
go
it
back to
spoiled
this.
something, and that still hasn't come about, right?
No,
Okay,
I forgot about that. So I'm gonna try and mind wipe my mind again, so I can
try.
forget about it. Because we listen, 9 titles, 10 titles. I've learned so much in such a small amount of time, and a lot of it I don't like. If I'm being honest.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing I do love is coming back to this world because Krakoa is a motherfucker, and there's so much going on.
It was funny how we did it too, because we're like, we should just go back.
Yep.
Remember, because we were like, yeah, after Exorcist, like, we're done with this. We're just gonna not do it anymore. And then we're like, we should just go back. And
Well,
then
we were
so
like, "Do you
that's
want to see how it ends?" We were like bargaining on how you wanted to do it instead of
yeah.
reading the entire series up to the final, like battle or climax. We just wanted to go to the climax and see if that worked. And we're like, "You want to just like pick up an issue and
Yeah.
like junkies." It didn't take much for us to get that kick again.
No, they were like, oh man, we missed this.
Yes, 100%.
So even though we forgot a lot, well, I'm saying we because I'm assuming it pertains to both of us. We forgot a lot about what we read previously.
Hmm.
It kind of comes back to you as you get more into it. It's like, oh yeah, right, this happened and this happened and this happened, and but some of the other things are kind of like I don't remember that at all.
Well, back to your answer of skimming, I went back and read certain things, like certain titles that I cared about. I went back and
Yeah,
read the previous issue, and the fun thing was those previous issues were all Hellfire Club or
yeah.
Hellfire Gala, so you get the fallout of the party and just the to be continued scene of like, oh, this party's about to sober up now. Those were fun because I remember Hellfire Gala being like a really good across the board series.
We liked that little mini event more than we thought we would. I think.
It was just smart. They knew all their
Yeah.
characters and what they were trying to do. Whether or not they landed those theories and those concepts, here we are.
Well, you can kind of tell now with this group of books because we did I think like 19 or 20 issues in this stretch. I believe I could be wrong. Could be over 20. I don't remember how many. But this stretch that we're doing today, um, you can tell that Hickman is kind of loosening the reins a bit because the stories aren't as tight as they used to be. When he was in charge of everything, and he still is in charge. He's in charge right until Inferno, and that's when he departs the series, and then it's handed off. You can tell though it was really tight at the beginning. Now it's kind of there's just too many.
Stories to keep on top of,
Yeah,
yeah, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
and like two of these runs are like very short stories too. Um, they only went 5 issues.
A few of these titles were not even needed.
Yeah, I mean that's true too. But we're covering this. I'll just read them out now. Wolverine 14 to 16, Marauders 23, X-Men #1. I think it's the volume 6 one, whichever one was in 2021. X-Men: The Trial of Magneto, Hellions 13 to 18, New Mutants 24, X-Corp 3 to 5, X-Men then 2 to 3. I should have said that at the beginning, but whatever. Way of X 4 to 5, and then X-Men: The Onslaught Revelations, and we're going to end it, and then we'll pick up with the rest of this section right before Inferno next episode, and then we'll do Inferno on its own.
This is the real test if we're actually going to stay with the series or we're done.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so. Because there is after this. There's the 10 lives and 10 deaths of Wolverine. It's like
Mm-hmm.
this is the first time it goes like event, which would be Inferno, and then this, and then it goes into the Destiny of X, which then goes into the Fall of X, and then we'd be done.
I personally like Cockrow of X.
The cockroach. Yeah, we did a whole when we were doing the Reign of X stuff. I remember I pulled up like a thesaurus
That
and
was
just
great,
found
man.
all the different ways to say rain. It was
I
awesome.
think we were our most creative when we had to read a whole block of comics and just fill time for 2 hours of the night.
Yeah, that's crazy too. That it would take us so long to get through them
It's
because it was
it's a lot
less
of,
it was
it's a
less
lot,
issues than what we're doing now.
but it was a lot of reading,
yeah.
and we cared, I guess.
I think we went into more detail than we needed to. Like in here, we don't really need to go into crazy detail. We can kind of do sweeping strokes and then pick on or pick out moments or characters or sequences that were like, oh, this is really cool, or that's the way I want to do it, rather than just retell everything that's going on because that's not really interesting to hear. I don't think.
Coke is saying we've grown.
We've grown. We've grown now.
See, told you.
Babies anymore. Little baby boys.
If I don't say anything, you'll just fill it with
I will.
whatever's top of mind.
I'll just ramble.
And it's usually
Because,
pretty juvenile, which I
yeah,
enjoy, but I don't know if anyone else is gonna laugh. I'm gonna,
like I'm saying, I'm grown now, and I'm calling everyone else babies. You know,
we're
babies.
not babies anymore. You had a whole rant. I was like, I'm not a baby anymore.
I was just gonna go. I was just gonna go.
I'm a big boy today.
Yeah. That with my big boy pants.
I put my Velcros on and my LA Gears and went for it.
I miss Velcro shoes. Those are
Do not go off on a tangent.
okay because I had Free Willy ones.
We have 9 titles to get through.
Okay, Wolverine, number 14, 15, and 16. We'll do all 3 at once. Okay, this was jarring because it's been a while since we did the Hellfire Gala, and it's been a while since before. And this is kind of on its own too. So we followed a website to do them in this order. I don't have the website up right now, but it's like a Marvel database website, and it's not the release order; it's suggested like chronological order,
which is totally odd for the release order not to follow the suggested read of order.
Right? Because there's books you can see in the back of the books like what's coming up next. And it's like, well, I've already read those. Mm-hmm. Why would I read them after? It's bizarre how they release things, but I'm assuming delays have things to do with it too. Like, oh, this book's not done yet, so we get to push it back a bit. Or some books happen like in tandem.
Yep.
Like this Wolverine thing, 14, 15, 16, we're reading 3 issues here. That would have taken 3 months to get those issues. So there's other issues that have to come out before that, and then you have to play catch up and figure out where's. Anyways, this picks up after the Hellfire Gala.
Patience is a virtue.
Where Wolverine is tasked with finding out what happened to the Marauders and Christian Frost. Because not the Marauders, the Marauder, the ship that went missing during the Hellfire Gala. It was commandeered.
Good word.
Commandeered and robbed and then set ablaze. Look at that. I could have said set on fire, but I said set ablaze because we ain't no babies in here.
If there's the one takeaway from this episode, it's going to be like, we ain't babies no more. HOX POX DOX. No, we ain't babies no more.
Where's my passy? So he, of course, it ends up in Madripoor, so he goes to Madripoor. He discovers the ship was targeted for the logic diamonds, of course. Mm-hmm. But when the Russians boarded the ship to steal them, they were met with a giant Iraqi pirate named Severe Blackmore. Yeah,
he's crazy design.
You know what he looks like?
No, I was going to say the little Frank Miller showing.
Yes.
It is.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
He's top of mind.
Yeah. That's the mutant leader.
Yeah. 100%.
Especially with the missing nose.
Yeah. Like, and jagged teeth.
Yeah.
Overbearing size.
So now why the diamonds were on the Marauder in the first place is a whole other thing. As Hellfire made a deal with the Russians, but nobody's sure why. And so we are faced with 3 burning questions here. The Shi'ar question, the Terra Verde question, and the Madripoor question that they detail in like one of the little write-ups. So the Shi'ar question would be, further investigation I'm going to read it right from Sage's logbook here. Further investigation has revealed the Shi'ar invitation to the Hellfire Gala was accompanied by a request for logic diamonds. What was initially believed to be a gift to the mutants was in fact a requested donation. Terra Verdian question was whoever cut off the telefloronic feed, making the Terra Verdians go rogue during the gala, could have been acting out on benevolence, encouraging the nation's freedom and or hostility, hoping to undercut any Krakoan diplomatic efforts. Or it might have been distraction, right? And then the Madripoor question was, or is, does the same logic then extend to the burned Marauder, the dead Russians, and the Iraqi pirate? Is there another sort of distraction at play, a misdirection, like a shell game? Upon relaying these questions to Wolverine by comm, I received the following response. There's only one way to be sure, and that's to hunt the Iraqi fucker down. Yep. So he's got to kind of figure out all these 3 things.
Yeah, we have a prime suspect for all the things that can be connected. They should be connected, but I don't know if they will be connected.
Wolverine tracks down Blackmore, and he openly tells him all about his relationship with Solomon. That was it was kind of funny how he finds the pirate, and he's kind of like, yeah, I'll just tell you whatever. Yeah, they're
all just chilling. They're all like, maybe that's the pirate's code too, right? Like, I'll give you all the information because eventually I'll just fight you and maybe kill you.
I'm trying to, exactly. Do you remember Solomon? I had to look back for him.
Briefly, but that's from like the Ten of Swords like tournament and shit like that. Yeah.
Is it X of Swords or Ten of Swords? I never know.
Tomatoes.
Because it was House of X, but then Powers of 10, right?
So you're
but they
saying that
both use
there's a
that.
problem in the naming titles of
Yes.
the Krakoa
Yes.
series? Yeah.
Yes.
We know where we know him from.
Yeah, but we had to look him up. Remember, he was the one that was locked up.
I didn't remember that. I just remember his kind of design and being like, when he was starting to fight over a sword, I was like, I know where I know you from.
Yeah, he has the Muramasa.
Yeah.
But he was the one that Wolverine had to
face off against.
I think it was Wolverine. Yeah, he had to face off, but he had to break him out of like this cell because even the Iraqis were like, I can't say that.
You can.
The Iraqian mutants were like, we don't trust this guy. And he's made of adamantium, right? So it's of course
Iraqis. No, you're saying
Yeah.
Iraqis.
Iraqis, yeah.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
I'm gonna call them Iraqian.
It works.
Raqs.
Iraqis. Can't call them Iraqis?
I just thought something that like George W. Bush said, but I'm trying to go on a tangent.
Yeah. This is the one show that we actually do go on tangents. We just end up bringing it back.
Yeah. So Obi tells him about his relationship with Solemn and that he has one of the Muramasa blades that he's willing to give to Wolverine if he helps bring Solemn to him.
Right.
So when he goes home to the moon, I like how it's called like the Summers home.
Yeah, they took over the entire
Wolverine's moon. There.
Yeah. He's got his own room, and then you keep sending me stills of the crossover situations that happen.
But when he returns home, he realizes his Muramasa blade has been replaced with a fake one. Wolverine is him. So there are two Muramasa blades, and basically Solemn is pulling the strings for everything he wants to. He has a little spot carved out. Like he figures out that he has a spot carved out on Krakoa,
right?
That even Black Tom can't even see,
which is kind of cool.
Which is awesome. Yeah, there's like Black Tom Cassidy's trying to explain to Wolverine that there are actually blind spots on Krakoa that even Krakoa can't sense. And since Solemn has only used the gate once, he's in Krakoa somewhere. So they find him like having orgies and stuff in this one little spot,
which is amazing. And kind of a theme for this arc is blind spots. All these little areas where you can't find people that you're supposed to be looking for. So I end up liking this for more reasons after I read everything, but reading it up front, it just seemed like a little side mission for Wolverine, right? You don't know where it's going to fit in.
I enjoyed it because it was more focused than the other ones.
That's fair.
Then not all of them, but a lot of the other ones. And some of them were just one-offs. Like the next issue we read is Marauders, just one issue. It's kind of hard to... This was 3 in a row and they were all about the one arc. I do like how... Because Solemn kind of annoys me. It's almost like the new kid in school who's like super duper cool, but he hasn't paid his dues yet. This is what kind of like the Solemn is, right? He's like the new character, but he's outsmarting everybody. I was like, this is kind of annoying because you can't fight him. He's made of an adamantium, and you can't outsmart him, and he just steals everything. It was kind of annoying. But then enter Emma Frost,
who is the equalizer.
Yeah, she's the equalizer, and even she has a hard time with him because he's got this sharp mind, but he's never been psychically attacked before.
Correct.
So she kind of overpowers him. And
again, another theme that we'll get to see throughout this run is usually the big brains. Look at the big brains on Billy? No, that's not it. I can't remember.
Is it Billy? I forget it all.
It's not. Look at the big brains on Brian. Nope.
Brian sounds right though. It sounds more right anyways than Bradley or whatever.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
There it is, Brad. See? Anything else you want to say about this?
Ultimately, like that Wolverine is basically like, I want my sword though. Like his motivation is like, I want my sword.
That is his motivation, yeah, because the soul of his master's in it.
Yeah.
But that's because you have to motivate him somehow.
Well, to your credit, it's all singular focuses for everybody. Everybody has their one mission that they're trying to get across, and there's not a lot of extra weight in this run of 3 issues. Once you get into other titles, there's like 13 characters that you have to like stay on top of, so it gets kind of diluted.
Yeah, it does. So we move on to Marauders number 23.
At one time, our favorite title.
This book's changed a lot.
Yeah.
I think it's when they cut off Bishop's dreads, it just kind of started going downhill.
Once they changed the rosters, like literally.
Yeah.
The crew is not how they started.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's like a different book now. I don't even know why they keep going. Well, I guess
I assume they changed teams because the artwork is obviously different. So
Mhm.
that leads me to believe that sometimes the writing is different as well, or writer, I should say.
Yeah, I don't know if they ever did actually. I think Jerry Duggan's been doing it the whole. I don't know. I don't remember. It's been a while, and I didn't go back and check because I don't care. But this is more where Wolverine's story was kind of its side thing, because the whole idea here is after the Hellfire Club, Scarlet Witch was murdered.
Yep.
Nobody knows by who, but their fingers are pointing towards Magneto.
Right.
Doesn't really make any sense, but hey, like just from a get go, why would he kill his own quote unquote daughter, right?
Yeah, at the end of like the greatest celebration party where you launched a new planet terraformed.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna kill my daughter now.
yeah. Doesn't make
I
sense.
blame Magneto. I was like, what?
Yeah.
So
But Marauders is coming out of that more directly, as are most of the books. Just Wolverine was kind of its own thing, right? Anyways, Destruction Marauder, there is a lot of for Emma and Hellfire Club distress about. Banshee calls for some assistance when their storage of Krakoan medicine is under siege by every criminal gang in town. So because the fallout, like you talk about the terraforming of Mars, a lot of humans are not happy about that.
no.
A lot of countries are not happy about that because, like, who gives you the right? So a lot of them have, and then they found out the mind control and all this jazz.
Yep.
Remember, beasts, terrafloronic
Creatures, yeah, that
creatures.
were they were attacking at the end of Hellfire.
So they went out of control. So Hellfire was a lot of shit happened in Hellfire.
Yes, correct, and
Hellfire
it was really good. There's a lot of payoffs and a lot of things getting started again. But I like how it makes sense. Inevitably, the world would want the drug that the X-Men have been pushing, right? It really works, and they're saying only we can grow it. Like you're just creating a demand, right? So if you have your asses out after like showing off to the world, like, hey, not only did we create our own island country constitution, but now we got Mars before everybody else did.
Which is hilarious.
It's how they roll, right? Like they're big bosses. You're gonna get a lot of jealous eyes. So this is the culmination of all those eyes being like, okay, we know where to hit you now.
Yeah, and so a lot of those countries pulled out of their deals with with Krakoa for medicine and things like that. And since the Marauder went missing, the price for their product has gone way up.
Yep.
So that's why you have Banshee going like, these gangs are trying to take all the product, all the medicine from one of our warehouses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kate invites Tempo to join the Marauders. That's a little aside. Meanwhile, the Cuckoos let Wilhelmina get justice on her abusive father, and she officially leaves the Verendi. That was from the Hellfire Club too, because they read her mind.
Yeah, like at the end of the party, and one of the issues, they go off and they find this girl crying on the side of like a cliff or whatever, and based on how their mother Emma Frost taught them, like we never leave her, like women by the side of the road, sort of thing, right? So this is the payoff to that of like we figured out who she is, we figured out what's going on. I don't know if it's going to pay off because like that's one of the set of villains that I didn't really care about. What is it?
Yeah,
the Fendis, the Verendis.
Verendi, yeah.
But that's the only tie-in that you can kind of keep the Cuckoos in because they're not doing anything else, and I don't think they're really needed for much. So more characters again on top of Marauders, who added like 3 new characters since the last time we saw them.
Yeah. And then added Tempo in this one too.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like an unofficial member now as well. Speaking of her, this is just an aside, but the way they write her is so annoying. Like, she shows up, they just have to give her something to say. She's like, "This looks sus." "Oh, you ruined my drip." I was like, "Hey, you're trying too hard." Yeah.
This wasn't a strong book from a typically strong title, but you can tell this is more of a carryover issue. Like they're just trying to get people to the next thing that they need to get to. But it shows. It shows like I don't like when we do our rankings at the end. It's probably gonna finish pretty low.
Yeah, because like you're saying, it's like a pivot issue.
Yeah.
So, okay, here's where we are. Let's clean up some mess, like some loose ends, like the Wilhelmina thing, and then we'll just adjust to the next one. So I'm interested to see where they go with the next issue.
Yeah.
But we only have the one in this run.
Congrats for stopping the bomb, even though it still exploded, but that's essentially what the team was brought there to do.
Yep.
It goes off though, so I don't know how it's a successful mission. Like it takes out a block.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, good
But-
job. I was like, what? Bar's really low for Marauders, eh?
Yeah, but it's like,
Nobody was killed.
yeah, there you go.
But there's
Yeah,
collateral
there's
damage,
some-
right? Like
yeah,
this is
yeah.
that's the one thing that's kind of funny about comics. Like there's a city planner's like, hey man, like it took us 14 years to get that subway up. Like our LRT is gonna take a while. And
Yeah,
you
but
guys
no
just
one
can't
died. So up yours, children. I mean,
Sure, but you guys aren't new here, and now you have your
Yeah.
own country, right? Like,
And planet.
so like there should be a red tape issue of just like bureaucracy of like, man, we gave them their own island. Why are they blowing up my buildings? Like it doesn't make
Oh, man.
sense. It's like, no, well, it's the villains. What villains? Show me the villains.
Yeah.
died.
so-
There's no bodies. So who am I?
Yeah.
Everybody ran off. Okay, bring in the X-Men. Nope, can't do it. They
Yeah.
have diplomatic immunity.
yeah.
They just walk through a gate and they're glowing flowers again. Meanwhile, I need a crew to come out here.
They even say that in one of the issues where like, oh, they got diplomatic immunity. That's not fair.
So like I like that, like for me as if I'm a human, because I can't claim to be X-Men, like the walls are closing in. I can't say these guys are badass if you just keep showing up to like blow up shit and then leave.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you're saying you're creating more jobs. But if I'm not in that field, like if I'm not a city planner, if I'm not in construction, not on the cleanup crew, you guys are hosing me.
Creating more jobs and they start taking our jobs.
There it is. There's a setup, payoff.
Okay, moving on to X-Men number 1.
Bang.
Now we did do X-Men number 2 and 3, but they're further down the list. So this is the one time we're actually going to split a run up a little bit.
And it makes sense too, because the tease ending for how this issue ends is not night and day, but you can see kind of a jump between issue 1 and 2 of how the team is and what's going on with the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
The team being Cyclops, Jean Grey, Sunfire, Sitch, your favorite, Wolverine,
Sync.
Polaris. You say it how you say it. I say it how I say it. And Rogue.
Yeah, this is the first issue of the new team that was voted. Remember how they got this team? They voted, all the mutants voted them in. Really cool.
Really strong team.
Really strong team. We talked about this often, like I don't really care for Sync being in there because it's kind of like a cheat code. But
Coke forgets that X-Men are all cheat codes. Like literally like 7 of them are Omega levels.
yeah, but the thing that with him is like even the Omega level mutants or whatever, like if their hands are tied, like if Rogue's like fighting somebody, they need her for something over here, like you got to grab this building, but I'm tied up with this T-Rex, I don't know, for example.
Mm-hmm.
She can't do both things at once. But now Sync's in the team, so okay, I'll just go to the building. So that's why it just makes it easier. It's kind of like a cheat. It's like, okay, well, Sunfire needs some help. I'll just jump over there and I'll just help Sunfire. It's like, okay, this is. I don't really like that too much.
Minus a handful of team, there's literally always a Sync, quote unquote Sync, Storm, Jean Grey level type of mutant on the team that carries the load.
There's never a Sync on the team because
I'm
he just
so,
copies it.
but well, Rogue is a copier. I'm comparing.
But that hurts her to do that, and it hurts the other person. So she's replacing somebody, right?
You're fundamentally talking about how Sync is created as a character. Yes, you have your points. I'm talking about how Sync is added in a team. There's always a get out of jail free card. He's their best get out of jail free card, but X-Men have always had that. That's why they can honestly.
I don't think we're talking about the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. You're talking about the character. You don't like how the character is designed, how he can do everything.
No, I don't like him being a part of this team. I don't mind him. I have no problem with him. I don't
and
like
his
him
power
being part of
sets,
this.
or you don't like him part of the team because of the power set? You're saying because of the power sets.
Yeah, because of the power set. I don't mind him. He's fine. I don't like him part of this team because I like even in one of some of the issues, like it just makes things. It's like, oh, no problem. I'll just do this. It's like, okay.
Well, he doesn't talk like that. Number one. Number two.
That's exactly how he talks. That's how I talk when I read his thing. Oh, I'd Sync. We ain't babies in here.
I mean, you're kind of a baby right now. This could go on longer than it needs to. I like him. I like him in it because Wolverine's in it. I like what potentially he stands for, but we don't get to that till like issues 2 and 3. So let's get into issue 1 with this new team.
The heroes of Krakoa are here, and they are taking up residence in the treehouse in Central Park. I think that's dope.
Yeah.
That's cool. They've planted themselves in Central Park in a part of Central Park that actually the mutants own.
Seneca Gardens.
Yes, and they just plant a tree there, and that's their. They live in a treehouse. How cool is that?
And
A giant
I
treehouse.
like the duel of like Seneca Village was an actual black populated town in Central Park that got taken over obviously by New York being New York. So if anyone's still rolling with the parallels that the X-Men are kind of representations for like two groups of people, either it was a LGBTQ A plus because of the liberation and the things they had to fight for, but also the minorities. And during the civil rights era, what the mutants had to stand for was kind of a representation for what black people and people of color had to stand for. So them drawing another line to keep that parallel going, if you want it, is in the Central Park taking up Seneca Gardens and a village. But the fact that you just dropped a giant tree down and said, "Nope, this is ours."
Yeah.
Again, you can see why New Yorkers could get a little mad on that.
They don't. They don't. Overall, they don't seem to matter too. They don't seem to mind too much. But at the same time, I think this is the one where they're like, "Well, we can't do anything about it."
Yeah. Well, that's why I like in this issue, and I think X-Men is going to be my favorite title throughout this run. We get someone scratching at the surface, which is Ben Ulrich, which is amazing, right? He works for the Daily Bugle. He's in New York, but he's the first one actually asking questions that are necessary for the general public. So it may not even be a villain that takes down the entire Krakoa mutant liberation. It may just be a reporter is like, hey man, like you guys are doing stuff that's either hypocritical or imposing on stuff that have been here long before you guys came along.
Yeah, it's interesting. In the 3 issues we read for this, I find I enjoy the side stuff much more than I enjoy like the battles. Like I wish, like every battle in this, like in this issue, they take on that meteor. There's like a meteor that drops down and becomes this giant robot, and then they go full Voltron.
You said Voltron. I was gonna go Megazord.
Yeah, and I was like, this is kind of dumb. I didn't
cheesy,
I didn't
but
really
I enjoyed it. I can't say I didn't enjoy it, man.
Yeah, I wasn't into it, to be honest with you, because I like the tree thing. I like the Ben Ulrich stuff, how he comes into it, and then I even like the Cordyceps Jones stuff. Like,
yeah,
it's
that's
cool.
That's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad.
Interesting thing. It's just the I feel like the action in these books are just kind of like we have to put a fight in there, so let's just make it a fight. It's
but that's
like,
one of the reasons I like X-Men. It's gratuitous. Like this, the action movie from all of them. Some of them are like thrillers. Some of them are just CW shows and like rom-com sort of like meet cute stories. This is your tentpole blockbuster for the summer, and you can't forget you put this team together to fight all the big bads. So without this, there'd be something missing in this giant run because we'd all just be on the island. So while I can see someone complaining, I like that like they're still fucking shit up because that's what the X-Men have to do.
We get another cool character here, Fei Long. It's a new villain. So we get a whole bunch of. That's what I mean. The inserts I found much more interesting than the action. But Fei Long, who's upset about the mutant beating, the mutants beating him to terraforming Mars. So he's like on this revenge tip now.
Yep.
Because he's super smart, and he actually mutated himself so that he would be able to survive on Mars when he went to terraform it. And then, like within 2 days, it was kind of like, don't worry, we got this. The mutants got this. So
you gotta plant your flag early, man. You can't.
Took too long, man.
2 days was too long.
2 days was way too long. How dare he?
And to your credit, then by the end of this, we get from the desk of Ben Ulrich, the Daily Bugle, and that's one of the inserts I enjoy, right? I know we were talking a little bit off air about the inserts that we get through this entire run of when they give us information. Sometimes it really plays into what the story is trying to build to, and sometimes it's just random stuff you don't know if it's going to pay off. Anytime it's usually a letter or email to somebody and it's in someone's voice, I generally enjoy it, and this was one of the times I generally enjoyed it.
Yeah, Ben was cool. These were well here. The giant alien that they went Voltron or Megazord to fight was actually that's how Cordyceps Jones, I love that name, was involved in the story because it's a space. It's they have there's this planet out there or this area out there. I guess it's like the new murder world, where they're taking bets on who can kill Earth, basically. Like, so he's just sending people down, or he's taking wagers to, okay, this giant alien will take them out, and then it doesn't. So, okay, who's the next one up? So when we get back to issue 2 and 3, like more of that happens, which is kind of funny. But
So like that's why I enjoy the big action sort of sequences with this, right? Like they put a cheat code at the top of like it's just fucking aliens who don't give a shit about Earth, but it's sort of hilarious, and you need these guys to be at the top of their game in order to do that, right? Like at some point, Psych has to call in the war captains, and the fact like he's already tapped in those individuals. I like that X-Men. When it boils down to it, like they're all smart, they're all geniuses, they're all trying to get a better world for themselves, but like they actually just beat them up motherfuckers, right? Like they're like, this is bad, go beat it up. And this is the 6 that we have to watch beat them up. So this first one was a lot of growing pains and seeing how they could play off of each other. In the later issues, you get to see them kind of team up and use their powers together,
yeah,
to ride off. So I always like how X-Men builds on that type of teamwork scenario, right? It's either one person carrying the load, or somebody new that's trying to catch up, or like them, like, okay, no, this is how we pass the puck around, this is how we dribble the ball. Whichever sports playoffs reference you want to use.
Yeah, because they don't actually fight with themselves or their own power sets here. They build something, jump into it, and then fight the giant alien like that, right?
Correct.
Whereas like later on, they actually fight them, like you're saying, as individuals. That's a little more interesting. But anyways, anything else on that one?
They put a big X on their
Yeah.
Megazord, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. And then Avengers and Fantastic Four show up late to the party and don't help anything.
That's right. They do. They are. Yeah.
So taste the things to come.
Did they show up in this one? No.
They show up in their Quinjet and their whatever the 4-person seater is for Fantastic Four, and they just talk out like, "Hey, you guys need help?" And they're basically like, "No, everything's done." So So someone sent a message out to them, and they're like, "Okay, no, we'll show up." Right? It was a conversation, but typically in comic book fashion, that's usually a teaser for, "We'll see you guys soon."
Yeah.
And you get to see all of them soon.
Okay, so moving on to X-Men's Trial of Magneto. Or The Trial of Magneto. All 5 issues, we'll do them together. This is basically a spin-off of... What's the one I'm thinking of? The guys who investigate all the murders.
X-Force?
No.
X-Factor.
X-Factor. Thank you. Thank you very much. Too many X's in my mind. Don't tell my wife.
I'm removing that from the episode. You will get no rim shot.
Oh, just the rim shot? You're not gonna.
You get the joke. The joke. Let people decide if it's funny or not. You do not get to put in your own sound effects.
How dare you?
Rim shot.
I'm not sure this needs to be 5 issues. That's literally the first thing I said. But the ending was kind of interesting, at least even if the conclusion of the investigation wasn't.
If you're trying to turn Magneto a villain, this was amazing arc, and then you shit the bed in the end. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of things going for this. Actually, no, I only like 2 things going for this. Magneto at the center of it, and the fact that we got to see Avengers kind of fight X-Men.
Yep. A little bit.
That's it. But everything else is just like we're setting up for story that doesn't make sense for us to set up.
I liked Magneto being at the center of this, but I don't really like the way Leah Williams wrote Magneto, because he was so hot and cold. He was just flipping back and forth.
Well, he's angry at everybody.
Yes.
And that makes sense if you're blaming me for the death of my daughter. But you have more information than everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not new information. So like, why are you throwing it? Like, you're a big boy. Why are you throwing a fit? You're big boys.
Multiple times, and then he gets his teeth kicked in multiple times, and I'm like, man, like you're making him look like a bitch here.
He crushes Professor X's helmet that he has to take it off. Part. I loved it because we hadn't seen Charles' face in how many fucking issues, and I was like, oh shit, like this is a heel turn. Like this guy's going for it because that's my number one, right? These guys have been Bati and Bench since the beginning.
Yeah.
And now you're giving him nosebleeds because you're mad at a rightful question, because we've set up X Factor to at least point the finger at all these laws that have been breaking under our Constitution. They found you, they're pointing at you. We're like, nah. I don't even know if he even says no. He's just angry. And he goes to his like black cloak. Like, it's just sort of, I'm in my blacks now, so I'm taking down everybody. And I liked all that like him just violently lashing out at everybody. But after you read an issue, I'm just like, well, what are you doing? Like, you have all this information. Can you just been like, let me take you guys to the side and like, this is what's really going on? No.
Like you're saying, they put Magneto at the center of it, which is cool, but yeah, he's just like he's like freaking out, and the way she writes him, I'm not too crazy about, because he's hot and cold, so hot and cold, hot and cold. Like you're saying that he knows more than everybody else, but he's acting kind of weird, right? The idea, and he gets his teeth kicked in over and over again. so
Which you enjoy.
Kind of, yeah, I hated it. Because I don't understand. Maybe it was like a bit of a bitch. But anyways, the Scarlet Witch is dead.
Kind of.
X Factor's on the case, and all evidence points to Magneto. Even the way he's acting to desperately get Wanda back through Resurrection Protocol. And that's part of where all his rage comes from, is like he's trying to get her resurrected, and the Quiet Council's kind of like, maybe not. Because remember, they did retcon her, and she's not even a mutant anymore.
Yeah, which is weird.
They made her an Inhuman, but then they're like, oh wait, no, she's just a human.
That's kind of the cool concepts that they're finally bringing back up, is like the bureaucracy of it, right? I remember talking about this in Reign of X. It's weird that there's a government sort of queue that you have to sign up for in order to get the people that you want to come back. And that's kind of the stuff that's finally starting to pay off now, especially in this run. A lot of payoff is coming back from death, right? So the fact that you're questioning if I can bring my daughter back is crazy. I'm just not sure the ends justify the means, or the means justify the end. I'm not sure the plan that they had in place in order to prove them right was worth it. I don't think you need to do all of that. Plus, like, you've made Wanda an Omega mutant, not mutant, sorry, Omega superhero, what do you want to call her, witch, or like powerful and all consuming. So like she's kind of above all the stuff that they do over here anyway. So it doesn't fit, even though you're trying to, and you end up just including all these different characters, which are cool, to fight Magneto for a reason that you shouldn't need to fight more like Magneto. There's a lot of just like, why is this happening? Like, what are you trying to tell me?
So there's the Magneto stuff, and there's the investigation stuff. Did you like the way they're investigating? Like it was so they're investigating the murder of her, and they were using like their mutant powers to kind of speed up the process. So in a normal investigation that would take like days. It's kind of like, oh, here comes iBoy. Oh yeah, look, there's this and that, and he goes to the scene and figures out. I thought that was kind of cool at first.
And then it changed. You don't like it anymore?
No, I did. I liked it, and then they kind of just the way it went. Like it was like, oh, I'm picking up traces of magnetized steel.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be Magneto. And then at the end of the book, it's like Wiccan comes and he says, oh, that could have just been Uru metal. They're all like, oh my god, so it's not Magneto.
Yeah,
like
so
it was just so
they're not good at their job.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It was just kind of like, it's this, and they push this narrative, and it's like, oh wait, no, actually, it's not really.
That's one of the payoffs that was underdeveloped, and that's why, like, we have to explain that in order to see that you can kind of make an excuse for why Magneto's justified in his anger, but they didn't hammer home how funneled this investigation was. Like, they always were looking at one character.
Yeah.
And there's nobody else to look at. And this is a planet that has the highest, like, controlled understanding. Like, you have so many different characters who could just like read minds and be like, can you, there's literally a character who probably exists who could be like, can you just rewind time at this one moment and see who did it and find out the answer?
Yeah.
Based on how many mutants exist in this one small populace, right? So the fact that this turned into a witch hunt is kind of crazy, but I hope that's what the writer was trying to get at. Like, the fact that to find a witch hunt for a dead witch is ironic. It's just, I didn't like all the witch stuff to try and prove that we can undo something that was already a hang up in the first place. So like, they're trying to retcon all this information and create a new sort of timeline to what their power sets can do, especially with the resurrection. But you did it in such a convoluted way that I leave here only liking when Magneto was mad. And by the time I read the next issue, he's back in the white clothing. He's like, okay, all's forgiven. And like, none of that makes sense. And it irks.
His outfit changes with his mood in this.
Yep.
It's like, he was the black and he's angry. He was the white, he's calm. And then it's strange how they did that. I don't know who was making that decision, but
there's enough stuff said that it's on site between Avengers and X-Men.
I think that was the coolest part of the book. Actually, is you were talking about Avengers and X-Men. Like Avengers are actually invited to Krakoa
Hmm.
to check it all out because they want to know what's going on with Scarlet Witch too, right? And they're showing them around. I thought that was so dope. I was like, this is kind of cool. Just them talking and kind of figuring out, and then like they're trying to hide the I can't remember what it's called, but the resurrection gardens from them.
Okay.
So that Emma and the Cuckoos put up this big illusion that just looks like they're at the beach, but it's really just they're blocking them the Avengers from seeing that they can actually revive people, because that's the other theme in this book, and then also X-Men and some of the titles is like the world is starting to find it fishy that like there's rumors that they can bring people back to life.
Right.
And that's part of the reason why they don't want to bring Scarlet Witch back to life, because it complicates things. But then she just shows up anyways.
So like the fallout from Hellfire Gala is, hey, like we're friends with everybody. Like all of these X-Men have been, sorry, Avengers have been invited. But it was literally like a night ago, if not 2 nights ago, and
Yeah.
already you guys came back and are ready to throw down. Because at some point it's Avengers, X-Men, and X Factor all like in the same sort of vicinity, and they're like, no, cool, we got this. And then it's Magneto in his old school colors, just being like, no, I'm off for war, because he goes back to red and purple,
Yeah.
and then he starts dummying Avengers. So while I like that as an isolated fight, it doesn't make sense to like the night before I was just talking to this dude, and already like he's a killer that we all have to take down, like, and we need the entire team to do it. The motive, I don't know if it's motivations, I don't know if it's the excessiveness. Maybe that's what it is. Like this book is excessive of characters. You didn't need everybody in it who's in it, and so many people end up looking so much weaker than they did coming out of it, and it's all for naught, right? Because you try and wrap it up at the end with Wanda's story, which you want to talk about now, which I don't really like. I don't like what Wanda went through with all this stuff.
No, I don't like it either. It was weird. It was really, really weird. She was strangled by a metallic substance, but like Wiccan said, it was that magical
Enchanted.
enchanted rock or metal stone, whatever. And she did it in front of Magneto.
Yep.
Because she wanted to give, oh god, she wanted to give a gift to Krakoa where they were able to basically revive people that were kind of falling between the cracks.
Mm-hmm.
Think of like Thunderbird.
Yep.
I guess Madeline Pryor wasn't gone. That was just a choice, right? I can't remember. There was a couple people that
kind of between the cracks, right? Like she was
right.
like a no-fly list. So,
but then Thunderbird they actually couldn't bring back because he was killed in a certain way. He was killed by the Beast, and so there was no like before. What was it? It's like before the whole database came online.
Yeah.
So they weren't able to make a backup of him, so they just never could bring him back. But with Scarlet Witch's ability, she had to die to basically create this path for the soul to find their way back to the living. And through that path that she created, that channel she created, they like sync it with with the whole process of reviving people. It was so weird, and it
doesn't sound convoluted at all. The fact that she has to find her present self, her past self, and her future self, and they're all different versions of herself. And she has to fight with them and then like align them and then consume them back into each other. What? Like what? What?
What are we doing?
And then like the C story, I guess, is the whole family dynamic, because Wiccan, Speedy, Rachel are all brought into this, and like they go through their connection with Wanda. So it's not even trial of Magneto; it's the trial of Wanda.
Yeah. Yep.
And then like she controls Gaijus.
That was the dumbest. These giant monsters come out of like the ocean, and everybody's fighting them, and they can't kill them. They just keep coming back. It's like, it's Wanda, you're controlling them, until she finds a center. But like that was the
Sync was in this issue as well. It's your Sync voice.
Oh, was that his voice? I forgot how I read his voice.
That's not how I use it. But I think the best way to describe this book is an embarrassment of riches. They just wanted to say that they could have all these characters in this title. For what? I don't know. Because Magneto looks weaker, Wanda looks stronger, but she doesn't stay in it. X-Men look weaker.
Yeah.
Avengers look weaker. North Star is just running around. Like, and he has a moment too where like he nuts up and like goes after Magneto, but like that falls apart really fast. Dankin does some cool shit. So like there's these little I don't know how you forgive that though. Like I'm very petty, especially if I have powers and then we fight and we're all supposed to be like if me and you are mutants and like you accuse me of being a murderer, even though I know some shit and I'm dumb enough not to tell you like the real shit, and then you fight me and then stab me, like the next day I'm not gonna break bread with you. Like it's not gonna be
No,
the same breakfast anymore.
no, no. Things are different now. Shit's changed.
And you don't feel that because they keep throwing something at them to distract them, like a giant gaiju monster.
So do you think that they just spent all this time just to get rid of Toad?
How does he take the fall for this?
Because he takes the fall for this, and then he fesses up. They're like, "Oh yeah, Toad did it." Because yeah, I did it, and I do it again. See, and I was like,
I did it for
What?
you, Magneto. I did it
Yeah.
for Magneto.
What did that
the
remind you of?
Brotherhood. Yeah, like why?
Rikishi and the Rock.
I did it for the Rock.
You, Rock.
And he gets one earlier scene where he's at the bar with Blob, just drinking, like shooting the shit, and you're like, why is this here? This doesn't really fit to what they're setting up. But he's the patsy.
It's dumb. It's very dumb.
I don't know. Anyway, Scarlet's alive, and Magneto's back good. And the whole point of all this is, what's his name? Thunderhawk? No,
Thunderbird.
Thunderbird. Yay!
And he was originally killed off because he was redundant. How funny is that? How funny is that? They were on the like they had a team, and it was like him and Wolverine are kind of similar. Let's just kill one of them off. So he got the short straw.
Hey guys, let's bring back someone that nobody was asking for.
Exactly. Yeah. Because then it's like Warpath is his brother. It's like, oh yeah, but you guys are basically the same thing. I don't know.
I had such high hopes for this.
Yeah, so did I. We named it after the Trials of X, and it's like, Anyways, moving on to Hellions, number 13 to 18. This is actually the final run of Hellions, because 18 is the last issue. Heartbreak.
And then it changes, because there's another Hellions title. Like, there's a new squad.
I think that's post all this, though. I don't think
okay.
I think. We'll have to read ahead. But this stretch has two connected arcs in it. One is the fallout of the Hellions mission into Arakko, and the other is the aftermath and part of the team being on their own trial. So Tarn the Uncaring and his team, including the survived Sinister clone, come to Purgatory, which is the Hellions' base, to get their stolen DNA back by any means. If you remember back to like the X of Swords or Ten of Swords, whatever you want to call that, the Hellions book wasn't involved with the conflict directly. Sinister sent them on this like the secret mission to go Black in, Ops. And they thought they were gonna steal the weapons from the Iraqians. But Sinister's like, no, you're just gonna take some DNA so that I can create my own clones. And they did, but then they got caught and they all got wiped out. And the ones that did make it through the gate, Sinister just shot and killed. So
after he got his DNA.
After he got his DNA, yes. After they got through the gate, then so his clone, Nanny, OrphanMaker, and Wildchild all got killed in Arakko. Mm-hmm. So when they were revived, they've come back different.
I like that. I like the whole little nugget of like, oh, they came back and they kind of understand based on how they died. Like that's now a net positive. So if you died based on fire, like you now know how to like navigate through fire.
Well, if you died by somebody's hands, you know that like you have like this deep-seated hatred for that person or those beings. It's like, yeah, I know how to beat them now. You choked me out. Well, my neck's thicker now, so and that's cool too. I agree. Like that's dope because it's almost like the more you die in Arakko, the more you adapt to being harder to kill.
Yeah, I wrote the genetic code remembers the substrate that ended them previously. So everything you said, but how they said it, which is super cool and makes me want them to have more people fight over in Arakko. If like this
and die
the follow, yeah.
Except Gorgon did too, and he came back weird, like really weird.
But I'm still waiting for that to pay off. Like I still think it's a thread that they're eventually going to tie up.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. But so back to Hellions, a fight breaks out and things come to light, like how Sinister was making a new clone with Tarn's DNA and powers mixed with it, as well as the team learns he had Quanen's daughter digitally imprisoned. So they find out why Psylocke's kind of been helping him. And it's because her MacGuffin is her daughter, right?
Right.
And the Tarn clone is pretty cool. He looks like Tarn, but he's gonna get the Sinister like diamond on him. I was like, oh man.
I even just like Tarn, right? Like we finally get Arako's Ring of Arako, and the
Yeah,
first appearance of Storm, because she's on another level.
that's right. Yeah,
And the fact that they have the little trade off of, listen, this being Tarn, like nobody's gonna die by my hands now, right? We have a truce now. We're trying to make a solid friendship and relationship moving forward, and like 3 pages later, immediately changes his tune and
yeah,
starts fighting everyone. So like, I loved
yeah,
Hellions. Hellions was a great read.
yeah. This is my favorite out of all that. But it's been my favorite. Like I loved
Yeah,
it from issue one. It was such a remember how crestfallen I was with like Fallen Angels.
yeah.
That was the original Psylocke book. I was like, oh man,
Psylocke's great in
so,
this run too, right? Like
yeah,
she gets her comeuppance. They have great shots of her, like the actual visuals. Like there's one that was just half her face, and you could just see her grit and anger,
yeah. I love
and then
them.
like
Yeah,
her trying to find peace through all this chaos. And these guys are still chaotic, right? Like they're finally now operating as a team.
yeah.
That you can see them sort of really lean on each other as a family, as that starts to pay off in later issues. But the fact that like you're still getting fucked over by the one guy you couldn't trust, but you still had to trust him is hilarious. And
Yeah.
Sinister's been the MVP. The
He's
fact there's
great.
like 30 of them in this issue is great.
And the way that he was put into this position, and you can't really do anything about it.
No.
You either work with him or he'll kill you. Like it's, and then make sure you don't come back. Right? So,
And this is stuff they were saying from like when we first started this run of like, we have to award a seat to Sinister, but everyone's like, so we got to keep an eye on this guy, right?
yeah.
We're like, yeah, but like X-Men got an X-Men and all of them had stuff to do. And Sinister was like, yes, finally. And like just starts planning the worst shit possible
Right away, like
immediately. So I'm
and what's
glad
cool,
this is a payoff that's finally hitting hard.
and what's really cool about that is too is like Emma especially, and a lot of the rest, pretty much of all of the council, that
Everyone, yeah.
they're all kind of like, man, I really regret putting him on this council. But then was like, but we kind of needed him for like his knowledge and experience with DNA and things like that. But it's like, but man,
You gave him too much power. Where else could you
yeah,
put him, right? Because you can't
yeah,
leave him alone. He would have
yeah,
done the same thing, but in quiet. You had to put him where all your generals could look at him, literally at a table to be like, what are you doing? But every time he's at the table, he's the most defiant and like outburst the most. And like, shut up. Like, why are you here? So like, I love it's an instant regret, but you literally had no choice with this character. You have to keep eyes on him constantly, and you still can't. He made a
you still
clone of
can't.
himself to be like,
Yeah.
go do this shit while I like go talk to the council. Like genius shit.
And then had him like he tried to get him killed, his clone killed,
Yeah.
and he didn't. So his clone came back for revenge. It's amazing.
And then like we didn't
And
even
then
use
he
the fight
turns out.
scenes.
Go ahead.
He's so charismatic, he ends up bringing him in, and then
Yeah,
sends like the army of Sinisters to go fight another battle to distract. So like these guys had plans on plans on plans on plans, and I can't wait. Like I'm sad that you're telling me that Hellions ends. I just want to know where Sinister is going to pop up because that's going to be my new favorite title.
yeah, yeah. He's great.
He's arguably the best X-Men villain because I count Magneto as one of the X-Men.
Yeah, that's fair.
You can never count Sinister as an X-Men.
There is the nanny and OrphanMaker subplot. You want to get into that or?
I just like how he wiles out. I like what they've
Yeah,
done with his baby brother, which is they've created this AI
baby.
smiling robot by the right, and his superpower is he wants to destroy mutants. So like that's a great time bomb. But OrphanMaker snaps because Nanny starts paying attention to a little baby. So like you get
Yeah,
that sibling rivalry. You get to use your catchphrase in this one, and then he just starts snapping necks, and
yeah.
he breaks the one of 3 rules that you have. So like this was a good book for stakes
Really cool.
because
Yeah,
as soon as that happened, I was like, oh shit! Like he broke a rule. Like that hasn't happened.
yeah. He went in a rage when Nanny gets killed by the AI baby that she was trying to protect because
Yeah.
like you said, it's from the right, which is they're supposed to be the Reavers, right? I think they're the Reavers, and uh,
So many to keep track of.
yeah,
Villains.
but it kills Nanny, and then OrphanMaker goes crazy and kills everybody, including
Yes.
these 2 park rangers that were just coming to check out what was going
Just
on.
Arizona Rangers.
Yeah,
Bang bang. It's like, oh no. Sad
It's-
face.
so then they get put on trial, and he gets condemned, and it's like Grey Crow and stuff are like, no, you can't. He's just a child. Like, well,
Imagine we got a full run of the trial of OrphanMaker and they put the time and effort into what this turned into. Light years ahead.
this trial was better in a couple pages than the 5 issues of
Correct.
Trial of Magneto. Man, this is more interesting because then there's like actual emotion. People actually care.
Character
Um,
development. You get to see whose side everybody's on. You get to see like kind of nobody really likes Scott. He's such a Boy Scout, including his brother. I loved all that stuff. There's just little nuggets of stuff.
I forgot about the Havoc stuff in this too. Yeah, he's
that. And then Greyjoy, what's called
Grey Crow.
Like he gets a shot off too. He gets to like knock people in the face. I loved it. Like this was a line in the sand run.
They let Psylocke beat up on Sinister a little bit. The council's like, yeah, let her have another shot.
Give her one more. Like all of them agree to it. Like just one more. It's like, like this was smart.
Yeah.
This trusted that the readers had been following along with the characters up until this point. That there's so many just desserts. It sucks that we're going to compare it to the Trial of Magneto, but we had just read that.
Yeah.
There were so many things that happened that weren't earned. Maybe that's the one thing that the takeaway. So you shipped in a whole group of characters that we don't really care about because we haven't been following them. So you giving us these just desserts and these like cool little trade-offs are fun in the isolated moment, but don't make sense to what you've been building. And Hellions has steady been building.
And then even a couple other things like Empath's arc is really cool in this because he's like this. Nobody likes him. I don't like anybody. But then they keep doing close-ups on his face, and he's like,
he totally cares.
He's like, man, he's supposed to be my friends. I don't fucking care about you. Then he's control. Like and then the Madeline Pryor, they let her come back. So now Havoc's happy because he's got his, which I think is weird, by the way. Like the two brothers.
He doesn't even get same. Yes, it's super weird. We can get into the Summers sort of grossness, incestuous sort of relationships, but I like that they didn't even let Havoc enjoy his reward because he comes back. He's like, they brought you back for me, and she's like, I'm my own person, right? Like this wasn't for you. Like immediately, just like he loses that battle. He's back to sad face again. So like the fallout from OrphanMaker being charged guilty was crazy. Like you see the dominoes start to fall, and I love that little trial because Nightcrawler comes in to kind of save the day as a defense, but doesn't have enough information to really make them change their minds because the council's right. Like he broke the rule. But the return of Nanny, who got fast tracked from coming back to death, I loved her because she throws out the ultimatum of just like, I will sail on oceans of blood in the name of Krakoa in order to kill people if you don't let me go to the pit with my son. I was like, wow, like the sacrifice, like a mother to the son. But the fact that she was ready to just paint the town red. And like she points out Kate, she's like, I know your mom lives too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Why you pick me?
She's kind of like, she's like, what me for?
Yeah, it was the 50 moment for real.
Yeah.
I loved it, but all that stuff earned. So the last kind of scene we see of OrphanMaker and Nanny is them just getting sucked into the earth by Cypher and that giant tree, which I'm glad they're still friends.
Krakoa, yeah.
Oh, he gets called Krakoa too? He don't have his own.
Well, he is Krakoa. He's part of the island,
He is
right?
Krakoa, yeah. He's just the speaker of it that Cypher understands. That's fair.
But yeah, so now we got what? We got Sabretooth, Toad, Nanny, and OrphanMaker in exile, right? Nobody else? Those are the four that are stuck down there, right? So I'm wondering what's going to happen with that group because it's becoming a group now.
But he's just Sabretooth's building a team. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
New Exiles.
It's the Exiles, yeah. I know there's a book called Sabretooth and the Exiles, but
I'm expecting Blink to end up there somehow in a weird way.
Okay. New Mutants number 24. Not much action in this issue, which is fine. Just reestablishing relationships, characters, and picking up the pieces from the fallout with Shadow Man. This is another one of those pivot issues, kind of like Marauders, where they're just kind of keeping on with it. We can go through it quickly. It's like nothing really...
Nothing happens. They're still in the mind of Shadow King, or they're dealing with their dramas individually.
Yeah, Shadow King's gone, but they have Amal Farouk, which is the guy who's always carrying Shadow King.
Fair enough. And
they're like, "No, you got to face judgment in Krakoa," and he's sent away. Where is he sent for? Just for intense rehabilitation. I don't know where they took.
I don't know if they. I just remember him on his knees apologizing. Yeah. But this is a book that reminds me of Deadly Class without the charm of Deadly Class. Yeah. And we used to love this book because it reminded us of a CW show of just like teens trying to figure it out. But this is now starting to look like the 5th to 6th season of a CW show where like they don't have any more scripts now. They're just kind of running through the same sort of treadmill wheels, whatever you want to call it.
Everybody's fucking each other now.
Yeah. So one issue didn't help these guys. I would have rather nothing from them or like give me an arc because I remember when these guys were the shining light in the run.
Yeah. So a couple notes that I have, I'll just go through them quickly. Cosmar meets Mr. Mask and gets a glow up. So she gets some plastic surgery and doesn't look so weird anymore. Galuda and Karma get closer. That's the one with the wings, right? The Galuda. She's new, actually. She's from... I think she debuted in the Hellfire Gala, actually, with the one with the black wings.
Yeah, that's right.
Danny and Rain patch things up. No Girl gets a body, and her name is now Cerebella. Much better name.
I like that.
Much better name. Yeah, she's still got the brain exposed, which is cool, but she has a body now. She's not just like this tentacle. Havoc and Goblin Queen are having issues. I call her Goblin Queen because she's doing that smile at the camera thing.
Yeah, she's ready for
Maddie Pryor.
the flip.
And then Magic meets up with her afterwards at the ending. We're not really sure what about, but they're going to talk about some sort of magical shit. Magic and Richter narrate the whole book in and out just from having drinks at the pub. They're talking about kind of their situation and stuff like that. And that's literally it. So we can move on to X-Corp. Number 3 to 5. These are the last issues of this run. It's only 5 issues. That's it. It's a little mini-series.
I can't stand it.
No, I didn't like it either.
The only good thing that they have going for it is Jamie. I like all the Jamie shit.
Fair enough, yeah.
The Maddox, because they give you like his whole, like his day-to-day, because he's a scientist now. Basically, like he's just running all the numbers. And like he's cheap labor too, because he was the waiter in all of Hellfire Club.
Yeah,
so I don't know how he got the short stick on that, but sure. But they break down like his Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And like Monday's like go out, do research. And then like Tuesday's like come back and like assimilate and like download. And then like midweek, like, so I like how they broke down how this guy is just getting smarter and smarter and smarter. But everybody else is either too rich for their own good, too boring for their own good, or I don't care with what you're trying to build here.
Yeah.
And the one thing I'm supposed to care about is this
Angel of Monet, the IBP or whatever they're doing.
That and the ionospheric bandwidth generator.
That's on IBG, yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like this major player in the telecom space. I don't give a fuck about this shit.
No,
like, and you brought in cool characters, right? You brought in Vulcan, Bishop, Neil, Shara, and Sunspot, and they're all supposed to like help flood this machine to utilize the sun.
And that's all they do.
And that's all they
batteries.
do.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, man! Like I thought it was gonna be a team, like squad up or anything, but no. This is the worst way that you do bureaucracy.
The other high point of the series too is issue 3. I love the art there. Thought the art in issue 3 was really, really dope. It kind of reminded me of the Hawkeye run, kind of,
but that was the mini issue for Jamie Maddox.
Yes,
so just give him the little shine, and everyone like he's on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like he's studying, like he does all these little cool things.
And they had that one heartbreaking scene where his wife wanted him to come home because their son was about to walk, so he sent one of his dupes over.
Yep.
And then what happens is, you're right. The Jamie stuff is really cool because they explain how they go do things to dupes, and then they assimilate back to him, and then it becomes a core memory for him. Yeah. Whatever they learn, whatever they see. So in this case, the dupe goes home, watches his son take his first steps, and then on the way back gets rerouted to like the battery thing and dies. So Jamie will never see that again. I'm like, they didn't really hang on that as long as I thought they would.
That's why, like,
but it's heartbreaking.
A flip of this book could have been all Jamie stuff, right? Like, I love one of the little nuggets was like some of the Jamies have different food allergies, so like be careful how you prepare their lunches. I was like, how does that work? Like, how did you just develop that? So there's such a nugget of a great idea, but for whatever reason, we need Angel more, I guess.
I can't stand. I've never. Anyways, he's one of my least favorite X-Men, man. I can't.
Arc or original?
Just original Angel. Archangel's cool because he had the anger issues.
Yeah, they gave him something to do.
Yeah, he doesn't even have that now. He just switches back and forth. Let's see what I wrote here. Ready to reveal the world their new giant bandwidth generator, like you're saying, but hit some speed bumps on launch day. Selene and Mastermind joined the fray by helping them disguise a sabotage attempt from Mr. Cole and Mrs. St. John and the Fenrys. So they have Nazis in this, by the way. Multiple Man is killed in the process. Trinary gets a board seat, and St. John becomes an interest to Henry Gyrick and Orcus.
It's such a screeching stop to the pace that all the other books are doing. Well, it's a snail crawl, and you don't like a lot about what's going on in it. So
no, I don't. All that we know is that they have a big bandwidth generator.
Sure.
And
that'll come later.
And Henry Gyrick and Orcus want a hand in that Sarah St. John chick.
Gyrick was the only kind of, okay, cool, here's the new villain that you're signing up for, but we don't get enough of him to...
But it's done. X-Corp's done, right? 5 issues is over. So we'll go on to X-Men number 2 and 3. This is where, obviously, we continue this series. So the next round of Cordyceps Jones' plan to kill the Earth is the Annihilation Wave, which is essentially just a bunch of big bugs.
Bugs, yeah.
In Kansas.
Love it.
That was more fun. That fight was more fun to me than the giant robot and
Sure.
then Voltron, because it was great. I like when it was made me laugh when Jean and Polaris they try and find the
Yes.
core of it, and they're going through, and Jean's got the protection shield up, and Polaris is like, ew.
It's
Ugh.
gross.
It's so gross.
Yeah, everything's gross. Even like before that, when they're like teaming up to use the logs and like fly the logs at each other, like so this is what I like talk about, like
Yes.
X-Men. This is where they get to like see where their strengths are and who goes where, and like Wolverine's immediately like, oh, I see the big one, called it dibs, right? Goes
Yeah.
after it. So no, I like it.
And then they stay for a barbecue, little Kansas BBQ.
You need that PR, man. You got to show
That was
that
cool.
you get good face on it, right? You did a good
I'm
job.
really happy to see Sunfire here, not throwing hissy fits. Usually when people write Sunfire, he's always throwing hissy fits about the dumbest things. But
What do you think of his new attire?
I like that mask. The mask is
Yeah.
cool, man. It's kind of like Rocketeerish, but it's only the front of the. I don't know. I like it a lot. I like it better than his other mask. But
Correct.
I think it looks dope, man.
The half mask, yeah. No, he stepped up.
Um,
It's issue 3 where you get the real payoff of what's going on.
yeah, but then they introduced Doctor Stasis.
Yeah.
In the
Oh,
end,
and number 2, yeah.
and he gets the coroner's report or the autopsy report from Cyclops' death,
And gives it to Ulrich.
and he passes it to Ulrich, and he's kind of like, "What do you expect me to do with this?" He goes, "I expect you to tell the truth." And so it's basically not basically, it is exposing the X-Men and their ability to resurrect people, because Ulrich was just talking to Scott last issue, and
he was like giving him not the cold shoulder, but wouldn't answer a question straight. He just kept going through. It's like, I'm going through the mutant gate. Finally, Ulrich has a smoking gun to be like, okay, like the X-Men and mutants aren't really doing everything on the level. They have something that's way more powerful than their drugs, which is nuts.
Yeah.
And it took a long time for someone to catch on to.
They then have to deal with the High Evolutionary in Vietnam. So after the
It's me celebrating because I like High Evolutionary.
yeah, it was cool, and they did show him in issue 1. I didn't realize it was him, but there's a quick frame
Sitting down, right? Like he's just
sipping his drink with Cordyceps Jones. So he's in Vietnam. That's how the 3rd issue opens. Just boom, he's there, and he wants blood. He wants Sync's blood.
Well, we get to that, right? Like, isn't he?
Yeah.
He offers the Nihilisti spear, which basically
Yes.
will destroy humanity. So you can use it, or you don't, and then I'll go after you, and then a big battle happens. And I like that because it's basically Rogue being like, "No, fuck this motherfucker," right? Like I know this motherfucker. Like you kidnapped me, you fuck me up, and then it proceeds to that giant action set that maybe not everyone likes, but I like in the X-Men, man. I like them just beating up motherfuckers because half of these guys got to beat up motherfuckers, and the only way to stop the fight is basically a blood of Sync.
Yeah, that's kind of like the offering. It was funny though that his evolutionary or his high guard there was the Tesla elephant, which is like, and then there's the Bison. His name is
was it those name Bison?
Bison, because he was a big bison. I was like, that's not the name that
I would have used, because there's like a hippo, there's an alligator, like he has just giant animals that he like apex predators that he's turned into a squad.
Yeah.
The one line that I enjoyed, or the one kind of conversation, was Sync like, that was kind of a bad idea, right? Like this is blowback's gonna hit us, and Scott's like, yeah, but like we're used to blowback hitting us, right? So we'll be prepared, right? So he gives a Boy Scout answer, but like he was
such a dweeb.
But he was super happy that they got the get out of jail free card. He's like, okay, we'll deal with this tomorrow, which seems to be like his MO now. It's like, if I can't finish it today, I don't want to deal with it.
There's too much. Yeah, there's too much on our plate.
I like that. Like, let's just move on. Like, count this as a win. It's over. Like, we were getting dummied.
there was one part I rolled my eyes at was when High Evolutionary has his daughter here, Luminous, who I've never seen before, but I guess she was around in past issues. I don't think in this run, but anyways, Rogue knew her, and she's a combination of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
So Sync beats her by leeching her powers, right, or copying them, and then like I was like, okay, just get the fan here, and then like High Evolutionary is like, oh, I'll just turn the powers off, and I was like. So, what was the point of this? And he's like, give me your blood. So he takes the blood. So I was like, okay. I thought that was kind of cheap, but I mean, the show must go on, right?
The only like funny punctuation to that is like Rogue screams that to the daughter of like, did you know you could just turn off your powers? And she looks back like, fuck, like really?
Yeah. That was funny. Yeah. And she's like, gives it the cut eye.
Stink eye.
So the X-Men do learn about Cordyceps Jones here because High Evolutionary tells Jean all about it.
Right.
And then we get another little sequence of Fei Long. He's going to blast off to Mars.
Yeah. So a lot of setup, but I like the players on the map that are getting introduced, and I like that the fact that it's X-Men have to deal with the outer world stuff, like the alien, the super strong, the strongest of the level. So going back to the team that they've assembled, you need a cheat code at this point. Sorry, bro. Like you need someone that can dummy everything. Now he's maybe not the best with his powers yet, but I feel like there's going to be a moment where Sync has to like rise to the occasion and do something that nobody was expecting in order to save everybody.
Probably.
But
I hope it kills him off too.
it could happen, but you know
That's
how the
what I'm
Chico
hoping
they
for.
already have, right?
Yeah.
These were my favorite titles. The X-Men.
Oh, Hellions for me.
That was number 2.
Hellions number 1 with a bullet. Wave X number 4 and 5. This is the end
I
of
may
this
change that.
mini.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I may change that because Wave X was actually pretty good.
Loved Wave X. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also a bit of a little biased here because I like Cy Spurrier and I like Legion and I like
Yeah.
when Cy Spurrier writes Legion
Mm-hmm.
because we still haven't read that on the show with X-Men Legacy from way back day. He was doing that while Mike Del Mundo was doing the cover art, and it was
Yeah.
like the best cover art I've ever seen.
You
And
love Legion. I don't know what you're trying to say. Like you love him. Like you
love
got
Legion.
us to do
Love
it
Legion.
to
Top
do
5.
his first season show on FX, which is a great show. If you haven't seen that, check it out. And I'm kind of a Nightcrawler stan, and I love that
Okay.
he's so underutilized in so many different scenarios that when he finally got his own title, which was Way of X, I was seemingly like unsure, but super happy that he was kind of front and center. And again, I'm happy that he's front and center because he gets to be the Professor X sort of teacher and like really hammer home lessons that his crew's got to learn. But
Yep.
like he also fucks up shit too, right? So
And as a writer, Spurrier, he's a bit wordy and he kind of goes on a lot, but he often uses underutilized characters. If you didn't
Right.
notice that in this one,
Yeah,
he's got like
that's true.
Legion. I mean, Nightcrawler is not an underutilized character, but he is in the grand scheme of Krakoa. He's got like nothing to do.
Yeah, Zorn.
You got 2 Zorns. He's got Pixie. He's got Dust.
Nobody, and they make the joke about Dust, like Dust.
Yeah.
What a terrible
got-
name. Lost.
Fabian Cortez.
Yeah.
He's like,
who they've turned into kind of an MVP.
yes.
Like he's had a great arc in this run, and I don't
And
like
that's-
that guy, but he's great in this.
And that's all Spurrier, right? So,
Yeah, it's been a fun
excuse
series.
me. So we have David trying to figure out how to prevent Onslaught from being a thing, while Kurt is out here preaching the 3 laws of Krakoa to anybody who will listen, while also ensuring that life and death are a real thing, even in this time of resurrection. I really, really, really like Nightcrawler's motivations in this,
Mhm.
and how he's going around like, no, life and death matter.
Yep.
Like, no, we can just die, whatever. Like, I love how he's going against the grain. Like, no, like, if you're not afraid to die, then what's the point of living type thing? Like, there's no joy in life. You just can throw it away. So I love how he's trying to champion that around. And even in this book, he comes face to face a couple times with the possibility of dying, and he does not want to. And like
No,
when
not
Cortez is there, it's like, why not? You just come back. He's like, no, it's not like that. Like you can't.
It's
just-
different. Yeah, no. He understands the soul. Like he's
Yeah.
he's always been the most religious, and he understands the gravity of what it means. Little do we know that he's so much more ahead of the curve than everybody else with what it
Mhm.
means to actually die. Clones. But yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree, and I like that the fact that they have them. I guess they're the next step of terraforming Mars. He's really trying to hammer home what these laws mean and like the land. And I liked his whole thing about like you're the land. Like the land's not the land. Like you yourself as a mutant, like you're the entity that you have to believe in and sanctify and keep pure, sort of thing. So like, yeah, no, he could come off pious or sort of preachy, but it's not. It's more like spiritual and sincere of his belief system, and it works to all these other people that have just been scorned by so many loved ones. Like everyone else that he's surrounded with, just had bad family experiences. So it's great that he's sort of the patriarch of this ragtag family.
And like for the most of the book, he's trying to bring Cortez and Lost back together.
Mm-hmm.
Lost, the mutant with the gravity powers.
Terrible
For
name.
anybody, it's a terrible name. They call it Gravita or something, or I don't know.
Stretch.
Anything. Yeah, it's anything. But
Cutie.
he's trying to bring them back. and
Something better than
like,
Lost.
and it's cutie, and it's very important for him to see them reconcile.
Yeah.
and then clever writing because you don't realize in the end why that is. And it's like, oh, that's why. But it's a process too. Like you can't just go, oh, Cortez, you gotta be nice to her. It takes the whole this whole run to convince Cortez to kind of like turn. So even the whole thing with Gorgon, right? Like that was so cool where he's amplifying Gorgon's powers so that he's hearing all of New York City's thoughts on what they feel about him, and so it's overpowering him. And he takes his eye band off, and if he looks at them, he's gonna turn them all to stone. And Cortez is like, "What are you gonna do, Nightcrawler? Like, I'm not doing anything wrong here, but you know, if he looks, he's gonna turn them all to stone. And if you try and get them in front of it, you're gonna turn to stone, right? Or you're gonna let them kill him. And then what are you gonna do?" And so he's like, he teleports himself over the ice cream stand to fall in ice cream, and everybody starts laughing, and so the tensions are just relieved.
He plays clown.
Yeah, and then Cortez is like, "How did you do that?" He's like, "Because I'm looking like I'm. It's a different way of looking at things." And then that's kind of when Fabian kind of his defenses kind of come down a bit. Slowly though, it's not like that one thing just. That's what I love about it. It's a process. And then
this Way of X, this entire run is definitely therapy. You get to see individual characters kind of confront their whole thing. Like Legion, the trade-off in the conversations that he has with Charles, they're just going back and forth. That's some of the best stuff for me in the book, right? Like, and David, Legion is now in such a better place that he can actually communicate with Charles, but Charles is still like hung up on, he's set in his ways. And again, he takes off his mask, right? Like he took off his helmet, he takes off Cerebral. This is only the second time I think we've seen it, at least in this run. But those face-to-faces mean so much more, knowing what David has had to gone through. Like he's always been that bastard son that Charles has tried to control or like lock away, and now he's like, he's not. Like I've already taken care of that. I've got two Zorns to like take me out in case it ever gets to that bad, but it's not, right? Like he's very much about like, I'm in control. Like I will always be in control, and if there isn't a control, these guys got it. So like I love that trade off. And again, everything that you're saying just makes me think this was really a therapy. It was a way of therapy for X, because you got so many different characters to get over the shit that had been hindering them, to prepare for what the setup of this book actually is.
Yeah, and through all this time, he's Onslaught's taking people over, and they figure out that he's doing it by the resurrection protocols.
Yes.
When people die, there's a little gap in between, and Onslaught latches himself on and takes kind of bites. He uses them as like he describes it as nibble or bites, right? Chunks of people.
He's a virus.
Yeah.
Reboot.
That Lost brought in. Orcus implanted her with a little bit of Onslaught. He came in, and now he's just spread over almost everybody. It's crazy, and they're trying to wipe him out. And then the part where he's talking to his dad.
Yeah.
David and Charles are talking.
Yeah.
And you can see all the different
connections,
people around them. Like Onslaught's starting to take over people, and they just the Zorns wipe them all out. Like 63 mutants. How'd they all die? It's like, and Emma's like, oh,
well, yeah,
well.
And I like that during that conversation, like he doesn't let on David Legion, but he's building something in his mind. Like he's setting up for something that's going to happen because I see it's going to happen, right? That and the fact that we don't find out and they don't really give us an idea of how they could inject Onslaught. Like where do you like get a sampled serum of Onslaught to it? We just know that Lost was the key in, and then it's been a countdown ever since then. So this was a great sort of like prepare for the worst that's about to come. Now, do they stick the landing when that worst comes? I don't know when we talk about that.
Which is X-Men The Onslaught Revelation #1, which is basically like the epilogue of Way of X. And
it's too quick.
Yeah, exactly. I was near the end of the issue. I was like, this is the end already?
You're going to wrap it up? And the setup was fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
The Crucible, the party, the getting everybody in the same sort of spot who has a touch of the Onslaught disease virus, right? And I loved how they were playing that too, right? Like at certain pages, you would just see kind of a red shadow over all these characters that have it. This could have been an entire run. Like this would have been a better trial of Magneto. Like give me 5 issues of them trying to like identify it and then slowly. And that's the cool thing about Nightcrawler. He was just pulling people out. So he had to pull out Pixie because her power of her psionic
It's the dagger, the mind
dagger,
dagger.
mind dagger. And then we got the cool panel of Magneto being conflicted and like with the virus. And I was like, okay, like it's gonna be like a real thing now. He's gonna be a hard dude to take down. And she's like, no, here's a dagger.
Dagger in the head. Yeah.
And like so, like the flips to like everything's gonna work out happened so fast, and that's not what I wanted from this. I remember Onslaught winning in the '90s as a cataclysmic event. Like it took characters on characters on characters to take down what turned out to be the combined efforts of Magneto and Charles and the Astral Plane.
Yeah.
He gets watered down in this.
Yeah. So in defense of that, I think what was happening is the whole, because you're right. I think that's the point. I think they didn't. The whole point of this was to not let him manifest himself fully, so they
Sure.
beat him before he could. I think that's the idea here, right? Because if he does get
You
full
can't stop
power,
him. Yeah.
you're cooked, right? It's just it's a nation of just mutants. He's gonna eat like just. So I think that was the whole point, is because David went and created the that mind pot, the spark. They call it the spark, right?
Yeah.
We're skipping over a couple beats here, but you don't need to know everything. It's just, but
It's
he
a good
creates
read. It's fast.
I agree.
It's
I
too
agree.
fast. And I love the whole metaphor that Nightcrawler is using to people when he wakes them up in that kind of shared space, the spark, of just like, what if you're a fish looking out for a shark? And it's
Yeah.
like, you have to change your rhythms or go for the shark and like watch out for the shark, or like, but we're not looking for the shark anymore. It's the whale you have to watch out for. And like, that's when you see its onslaught. So like, I love that they make Nightcrawler look like a chess master because he's planning something that's so far ahead, and that like Legion is a chess wizard on like he's playing fourth dimensional chess, like literally and figuratively, because he brings everybody in. But you finally got the one thing I've been predicting this whole time, which is Charles Xavier as a villain. Like I was like, finally, like they gave him the red helmet and everything. It's like you couldn't give me 2 issues. Like you couldn't go like take down half the mutants on this island and then go into like a one-on-one with Legion, and then you need Nightcrawler to come in or something. Like he gets dummied immediately. That it was like, no, I get what you're talking about with the you can't let Onslaught escape or like find his true form, but you let him get to basically your king and queen very fast, and you didn't show me ramifications of that, right? Like Magneto fought for less.
Yep.
When he wasn't brainwashed. Now he's brainwashed. Like now you can give him an excuse to really just start fucking up people, and they don't. I was like, ah. Oh. So I felt cheated at the end of this, man.
Yeah, it was a bit weird because you're right. Onslaught basically takes over Charles, and he has the whole redesign, and then it's like,
hey, Dust, come here.
Yeah, to collect the particles of the soul. Yeah.
Love will save us. Love, and I was like, really? I was like, yeah.
That's exactly.
Flash forward. Hey guys, welcome to Mars. Love saves everything. I was like, no. So great start, great lead in, but can't win them all.
No, and so that's the end of this first half of Trials of X. The next one we're gonna do actually less books, but they're longer runs. So
hopefully that's better. We'll find out.
Because I think it's only 6 or 7 actual runs next time. So,
what's your top 3 of what we read in this run?
Hellions 1.
Yep.
I'm struggling with Way of X and Wolverine. Way of X and Wolverine would be my other ones.
Okay.
And then X-Men would be a close fourth.
Fourth? Yeah. I have to still give it to X-Men because I've been talking about it this entire time. I can't jump off it now. I want to give more strength to Hellions, but I'm going to give it to Way of X just because I like what they're setting up. The payoff, right? If I have to include Onslaught with that, you're still probably going to finish second, but that ending just kills everything for me. Run. It feels good to be back. Not everything hit. I miss this world. You have too many characters. I really want more people to die. And that's the thing that I really appreciate about Onslaught. I thought they was going to close the door to cloning. Like, I thought they were going to shut it down.
Yeah.
And I really want them to figure that out because
that's true, right? Because they were,
like, the cheat code's done now, right? And, like, there's a perfect time, right? When the media catches on. It's like, okay, no, we can't do it anymore. Sorry. No, you were lying. That was an old thing. Whatever. And you had the character to
actually make it happen.
Right? So I think there's still a plan in place where you're probably going to have to shut down Resurrection to some level. I'm not happy with you just keep introducing characters back again, right? Like, so unless there's something funky to it, like I really want something to snap because the walls are closing in, even though these guys are expanding out. and we still don't know how many villains are on the map, let alone have yet to appear. And I'm saying that because we talked about Exiles. They've literally put a villain or someone that doesn't like what they've been doing in every corner of where they exist. And the X-Men and now the mutants need to find more places to exist, because you can see this island starting to sink with all the shit, all the bureaucracy, all the red tape, all the problems that they've created for themselves. So, again, happy to be back. It is crazy. This is still fascinating how one person could oversee all this stuff and still, for the most part, really have it coherent.
Yeah, and hit it, but we ain't no babies anymore. Nobody cares.